Surviving the Survivor. We bring you the best guests in all of true crime. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button. Here's your host, Emmy Award-winning broadcaster, Joel Waldman.
What's up, STS Nation, and welcome to Surviving the Survivor. It is the show that brings you the very best guests in all of true crime. And when there are big trials going on, like Sean Diddy Combs versus the United States government, we bring you updates. And it is a strange day. I got to be honest. I'm trying to figure out exactly what is going on. I've reached out to some people who are in the courtroom. It appears that testimony, this is now week 5, day 21 in the Sean Diddy Combs trial. And it is the 5th day of testimony for Jane, who's using a pseudonym while on the stand. She is an influencer who is a former girlfriend of Sean Combs, but it appears that her testimony was delayed, and I can't tell, to be honest, if she's on cross right now, but she was crossed later in the day yesterday, and apparently that cross has begun, and I've got information, obviously, to give to you, and we'll recap some of yesterday's stuff along with other information. But what is transpiring in the courtroom itself this morning, it's a little tough to decipher, and I'm not sure exactly why there is seemingly a delay in testimony. But obviously, one thing we do know, Sean Diddy Combs is fighting for his freedom, really for his life, essentially. If he's convicted on all these charges, chances are very good he's going to be spending life behind bars. And then we heard the names Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio. You may have heard of some of these people. Shaq, Michael Jordan. And no, they're not on the witness stand, but their names have been now swirled through this surreal, sex-fueled saga that is the life of Sean Diddy Combs. On this 5th day of testimony, we are expected and have heard a little bit, I believe, about Sean Diddy Combs's influence over her in the form of money, in the form of rent. He controlled her life. He dragged her into these hotel nights, which is really just a euphemism for freak-offs. He would drag her into these with male escorts, and gets a little kinky here. He would use some of these guys' names who I just mentioned during these sex acts, it was revealed. Now, she was asked about this yesterday, and again, it's a little confusing because obviously there are no cameras, and I have a few friends / sources / people who are covering this trial, but no phones are allowed in there, so it's tough to get a hold of them. But apparently some of this testimony today was delayed, and why, again, exactly, I'm not 100% sure. But she did say over the last half a day of testimony or so, going back to yesterday afternoon, she says that Diddy is a drug addict, that she was scared of him, and she says it was never, quote unquote, truly consensual. We're breaking all this down. No fluff here. It's just the freak offs, the fame and federal charges that Diddy is dealing with. So Judge Arun Subramanian, one thing of note is the defense, they had filed for a mistrial based on testimony from Brianna Bongolan. She is the woman who claims to have been dangled off a 17th floor balcony. And thank you so much, Kim. I appreciate this very much. But she says she was dangled. Cassie Ventura testified to this. The defense apparently has records that show Sean Diddy Combs in New York City at the time this alleged incident happened. So they said, hey, we want a mistrial. And Judge Arun Subramanian said, it is not happening. He made that decision yesterday. Apparently, Sean Combs was seen with an orange little book in his hand. This was also yesterday, I think later in the day. People were wondering, what is this orange little book? And apparently it has been identified as The Magic of Believing by Claude Bristol, Bristol. The Magic of Believing. It is a self-help book, and according to people with knowledge of his reading habits who spoke on the condition of anonymity, they gave some details. The book was first published in 1948 to help soldiers returning from World War II, to help them process their trauma. And the book describes itself as an exploration of the quote-unquote secrets behind harnessing the unlimited energies of the subconscious. So it appears Sean Diddy Combs is turning to some self-help books, and he might need some help with himself very shortly, as the government's case appears to be getting closer and closer. Again, the cross-examination of Jane is resuming today. She is his former girlfriend. Yesterday's session focused, as we discussed already, on financial entanglements, sexual coercion, and emotional manipulation. And that word coercion is very important because in the sex trafficking part of this case, you've got to prove fraud, force, or coercion, one of those three pillars of this particular charge in the Sean Diddy Combs case: force, fraud, or coercion. Jane did testify, and again, this was revealed yesterday, that she paid $40,000 for a rental house back in April 2023. That was security deposit and first and last month's rent. And she says that the alleged payments were a form of control, and in no way was it generosity, that it was not generosity. And when asked if she thought the rent would stop, she answered, and I quote here, "I felt pressure to perform these things my lover desired." She refers to him frequently as my lover. So again, she said, "I felt pressure to perform these things that my lover desired." This is the same amount of time, by the way, that Cassie Ventura spent on the witness stand. I'm almost sure that Cassie was on for 5 days, and today would be the 5th day for Jane as well. So, and she's proven to be a powerful witness for the government. But obviously, the defense trying to poke holes, saying, "Hey, if he was such a bad guy, why were you taking these things from him, as in rent? Why were you going back to him? Why are you calling him my lover?" The defense has all but conceded, but that Sean Combs regularly abused girlfriends. This guy was a DVer, kind of a professional DVer. And it wasn't just girlfriends, it was the other women around him too. We heard these accounts from some of his assistants. At the same time, all these women also discuss their affection for him, and that's going to be the issue with the jurors, I think. How can someone be so horrible? And then these women are sort of magnetized to him, going back and back again. I think women who have been in DV / coercive control relationships, I think it's very hard to escape this, to get out of it. And I think the number is 7. It takes 7 attempts to try to break out of one of these relationships. And so these women were stuck in this bizarre cycle. This part also came out later in the day yesterday. After all this horrific treatment where she would make Jane have sex with male escorts, once it was all over, she admitted to enjoying giving him foot rubs and cuddling with him while he watched his favorite show. Sean Diddy Combs' favorite show was revealed as a true crime mega hit, none other than Dateline with Keith Morrison. So Sean Diddy Combs, of all people, would love to kick back after these freak offs and watch Dateline. I wonder what Keith Morrison thinks of that. And again, he referred to Jane as his crack pipe. What a sentimental individual he is. Very loving, and referred to her as his crack pipe. The government obviously is going to lean in on testimony that was given by the psychologist Dawn Hughes. She was the one who was trying to explain why women are up and down with a person like Sean Diddy Combs. She wasn't able to get into coercive control specifically. It doesn't seem like they're bringing another witness. It seems like this was the witness to discuss the psychological aspect of it. She also appeared, this doctor, in the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. Not a lot of people, or I should say there are a lot of people who are not huge fans of hers, but nonetheless, she is the one who provided some of this witness testimony. The issue of power, gifts, and control. Sean Combs' lawyer, Tenny Garagos, Mark Garagos' daughter, questioned Jane on some luxury gifts. And again, some of this came in yesterday, specifically Bottega Veneta purses, which are incredibly expensive designer bags. She insinuated, Tenny Garagos did, in a line of questioning that happened late yesterday afternoon, that Jane did not come away from her relationship with Sean Combs empty-handed. The implication is she was getting stuff. She was getting gifts. She was getting presents all the time. And Tenny Garagos goes on and asks her, on top of the Bottega Veneta, did you also receive a Chanel bag? To which she replied, no, I only got trauma. It's a heavy answer. But I was looking at some legal analysis of this, and it's sort of, I don't know, snippety, I guess. And so the legal expert was saying that the government's got to be careful with this particular witness who seems to want to snap back at the defense, and sometimes with sarcastic, biting comments, which could, in some jurors' eyes, reflect poorly on herself. So it's a tightrope that they are walking with this particular witness, at least according to some of the legal analysis that I was reading. When asked if she knew what a Bottega Veneta bag was, Jane, exactly to the point I was just making, she fires back at Tenny Garagos and says, I'm sure you have one. Things getting catty here. The women are fighting with each other. So this high-powered defense attorney asking if she's ever heard of a Bottega Veneta, to which Jane says, I'm sure you have one. I wonder if she does. I'd be curious. Jane obviously did not appreciate Tenny Garagos's inquiring about the price tag of the Bottega and snapped back, how much does my body cost? How much does my body cost? So again, she is putting up a fight against the defense. The jurors are either going to like this, or they're going to think she's some sort of, jaded, crossed woman on the stand, just out to get revenge. It could go either way, I think. And so we've got to be careful with certain witnesses. And I think the government, although she's powerful and she was up there and she was emotional and she was wiping away tears, at the same time, the government's got to be wondering, hey, what are the jurors thinking of her and her, I guess, sarcastic answers and defiant answers to Tenny Garagos, who is crossing her on the stand. She also said, here's a jealousy issue, she felt that Sean Combs gave other women better gifts and more attention, which fueled the fact that she thought she was being used. So again, I can't underscore this enough. Here's a woman saying that, hey, these other women got better gifts. I didn't get better gifts. You could read that two ways or three ways. I guess you could read it as Sean Combs is not a nice person and a jerk off, which he probably is. But you could also read it as potentially, is this woman Jane trying to get payback because he did that? And the third way is both, all of the above, that she is trying to get payback, but he was also a jerk off to her. So it's going to be up to the jurors to figure out how this all plays out, particularly once it gets into the deliberations room, which hopefully one day it does. On to the topic of sexual dynamics and escorts. So Jane, like Cassie, admitted to being the one. She was the one to arrange hotel encounters, including one where she texted Combs about now they're using the word freak off again. She used the term freak off as opposed to a hotel meeting or whatever the other terminology is, hotel night. But this time around, she is using the word freak off. She says, and I quote again, I wanted to see my lover. That's the only option I was given. So she's saying the only way she could see the only way she could see the person she was in love with, her quote unquote lover, was by organizing a freak off. HT here, has the prosecution put any expert on coercive control? No, they had this one woman just to talk about the psychology of abuse. For some reason, and I'm not exactly sure, to be honest, I'm not sure if the judge ruled on this, but apparently they're not bringing a coercive control expert in. The parameters of what this psychologist was able to discuss did not include coercive control, but did talk about these types of abusive relationships, but not necessarily coercive control per se. Jane then, after saying that she wanted to see her lover, so she had to organize this freak off, says she described frequent threesomes with Sean Combs and a guy named Paul, a male escort, a guy named Paul. And the trio nicknamed themselves the Trifecta. And each one of them had a nickname. Jane was Kobe Bryant. The escort was Shaquille O'Neal. And the man running the show, Sean Combs, I guess like the guard that Michael Jordan was, his name was Michael Jordan. I'm wondering what Kobe Bryant, well, sadly, Kobe's not here, but Shaquille O'Neal, Michael Jordan, I'm sure Kobe is rolling in his grave knowing this, but curious to know what Shaquille O'Neal and Michael Jordan think about the fact that they were using their names while performing these threesomes. Seems a bit twisted, but there's not much about this that is surprising anymore. It's you almost become immune to it. A quick reminder here, and I'll remind again at the end, Donna Adelson is in court at 2:30. We'll be going live at 2:15 in just about an hour and 10 minutes, the very latest with Donna Adelson. But back to Sean Diddy Combs, drug concerns and denial. Jane said that she became concerned about Sean Combs' drug and alcohol use early on in their relationship. She talked again about Turks and Caicos. While they were in Turks and Caicos, she said that she noticed that he had jaundiced eyes. That is obviously from a bit of a failure with the liver. So jaundiced eyes, gray gums, and very shaky hands. Doesn't sound like he was too healthy at that point. She proposed a rehab in Thailand, I guess to avoid the crush of media here. Combs allegedly responded to her, and I quote, "What the hell? You think I need rehab?" Jane basically concluded, and this again was from yesterday, quoting, "He was overdoing the partying. I would call him a drug addict now. He was overdoing the partying. I'd call him a drug addict now." Jane also testified that a guy named Sly Williams, Sly is an adult performer who she recruited for freak offs, that he had threatened to sell a sex tape involving her. And she told Sean Combs that, and Sean Combs told her to call police, but she didn't. She said, out of fear. Pink Panther wanting love you right back, Sandra from Ohio. But Pink Panther here saying, "This is awful for me to say, so please forgive me. May Diddy suffer the same or worse than what he has done to so many souls. He just might in prison." So celebrity name dropping, the courtroom addressing rumors and AI-fueled hoaxes. Eddie Murphy, Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio, none of them have testified. But they've all been mentioned by witnesses as people who Sean Combs had socialized with. And I guess the AI bots are creating them as witnesses, but they are not witnesses. One example is that Jane recalled an incident with Cassie Ventura at a Brad Pitt film premiere in Cannes. This, I think, was the same film festival where they had just gotten into a fight. He kicked her off the yacht, and Sean Combs allegedly dug his nails into Cassie's arm during a fight. So dug his arms, dug his nails, I should say, into Cassie's arms during a fight. And then another witness who we heard from, Mia, mentioned that Sean Combs boasted about winning $650,000 in poker from Leonardo DiCaprio. These celebrities all seem to have very important things to do when they're not making movies, like gambling against each other, in the amount of $650,000. Maybe it would be nice to like donate that to a soup kitchen or something along those lines. Not saying that these guys aren't philanthropic, but it's just I don't know, for the layperson to hear about how these guys are throwing away $650,000 on basically stupidity is a little unnerving and annoying. Big question that's come up outside the courtroom, but people are talking about it. Is Diddy gay? Is Diddy bisexual? And this answer comes up when Jane is questioned by the government and then cross-examined, and she says that she believes Sean Combs is quote unquote curious about bisexuality, but he wants to keep that side of him at a difference. That he is curious about bisexuality, but he wanted to keep that part of him at an arm's length. Asking his girlfriends, Jane said, to have sex with strange men as he watched and recorded nearby was his way of participating. That's according to Jane. She says that Sean was too scared to do the act himself, thus making these freak-offs a regular part of his life. So that raises a big question, and that's something that I've said before. I think he's got issues with his own sexuality, and you don't have to go much further than the Tony Busby civil lawsuits, where I think half of them, right down the middle, were filed by men who say that Sean Diddy Combs was doing this sort of stuff to them, to these males, not escorts, but just regular men behind closed doors. So I don't think there's any doubt that Sean Diddy Combs has an affinity for men in the male body, and maybe was sort of torturing these women with these freak-offs so he could be sexually satiated by being with these men under the guise of being with his girlfriends. So I think Sean Diddy Combs probably has some years of therapy ahead of him, and in prison might get what he might be interested in, if you get what I'm saying. 50 Cent, this has come back full circle in the news. This was because of Friday, an Instagram post of his where he said he's planning to reach out to Donald Trump personally if there was a pardon potentially for Sean Diddy Combs. Some people are saying that President Trump has talked openly about it, which is what we've heard. And he said that he, quote unquote, was going to look at the facts of the case. And so now 50 Cent says, not so fast. I'm going to reach out to Donald Trump myself and basically tell him that's a really bad idea, because I know things about Sean Combs, Mr. President, that you don't. And I don't think that you should allow him to be pardoned if it gets to that. Pink Panther says Diddy's going to do just fine in prison. He's going to be everyone's prom queen. He might. And prisoners, by the way, do not like other inmates the treatment of women that he is and has shown, at least by witness testimony. So I think Sean Combs is in for a world of hurt, physically and emotionally, if he ends up in prison. I don't know how much his celebrity will help him. It'll help him, no doubt, a little bit, but to what extent, we don't know. So the defense strategy is pretty simple. Mark Agnafilo and Tenny Garagos basically just saying, look, these are willing participants in these adult consensual sexual encounters. It's all consensual. They've all said they've agreed to it. They've even set these things up. Also undermining credibility by the fact that these women, were accepting gifts, and they're constantly exchanging text messages, and then you hear about the foot rubbing and watching Dateline together. And instead, what the defense is doing is they're basically framing these women as disgruntled exes rather than victims of coercion. And again, that word, very important: coercion, force, fraud, the three pillars of sex trafficking. In this case, they've got to prove one of those three. Again, the charges against Sean Diddy Combs, we've gone through this, but it can't hurt to do it again. Racketeering conspiracy, which is the RICO charge. Again, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, 2 counts of sex trafficking. Transportation to engage in prostitution, that would be the escorts getting sent from one place to the next. So a lot of stuff going on here. The government alleges that Sean Combs ran a criminal sex trafficking operation, and he did this using intimidation, narcotics. We heard all about the drugs, as well as manipulation of money, fame, and relationships. And the acts include these organized freak-offs, which were these elaborate days-long sex events, which we heard could go on for as much as 4 days or so, and would take days. Cassie Ventura talked about this, days just to recover after these, which again brings me to my point, which is, how did Sean Diddy Combs find the time to work and make all the money that he made? I just don't get it. I just do not get it. Lastly, something interesting. There's been all these rumors, and they're just rumors at this point. Jamie Foxx got really sick, and there were reports in the media that maybe Sean Diddy Combs was behind it. But he was at the Comedy Store in West Hollywood either last night or the night before, doing a set. That's a great place, by the way. If you've never been, I highly recommend it. But pretty much every famous comedian in the world started off there, and now even go back to perform sets there. But he says that the Black community lost a quote unquote hero in Diddy. He was saying it kind of half jokingly. It was a Netflix event to discuss his own recent special. What had happened was ahead of Emmy voting season, so that's why he was there. And he goes on to tell the crowd that Diddy shit is crazy, huh? Fox says, I don't know if he's going to jail, but he's a nasty mother effer. And he uses the word. He goes, am I right? Especially for our community. White people, it's cool. But for Black people, like, that was our hero. All that damn baby oil, boy. That's what he said. So Jamie Foxx, hilarious guy, and basically saying that Sean Diddy Combs has adversely affected the Black community, and took a shot with the baby oil swipe. But I'm curious what Jamie Foxx really thinks of this, specifically because of the illness that he had after apparently taking I don't know, Tylenol or something along those lines. Rachel D, we have the original Comedy Store in La Jolla. Is that the original? I thought the original was West Hollywood, but what do I know? Pauly Shore's mom is the one who created it and started that, and it's a legendary place for comedy. Joel, please don't say the MF words. I did not. I said MFers. I did not say the word. However, Jamie Foxx did. So there you go. So let's see. Let's take a look here. If there are any questions. Paul Delnoki asking, I guess Jamie Foxx did some sets at the Comedy Store. I would assume he did. Mitzi, I was blanking on her name, Mitzi Shore. She is the founder of the Comedy Store. She is a lot of these super famous comics mentors, and apparently she's hilarious. No longer with us. I randomly met Pauly Shore. I was with a COE actually, and met Pauly Shore at just a random. It was a party that we were invited to in Los Angeles when I was living there, and he was dressed. I don't think it was Halloween, but he was dressed in like a sailor's outfit with like a sailor's hat, and that sums up Los Angeles right there. So there you go. Juror 6, I'm still trying to figure that out. I don't know. Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys dead. Didn't he die a little while ago? Canine Catherine, only watching because of you, Joel. That's very sweet, Canine Catherine. I'm only doing this because of you, Canine Catherine. Bobby Lee, he is hilarious as a doorman at the La Jolla Comedy Store. There you go. Bobby Lee is a very funny dude. Anyway, looks like we've come to the end of this edition of. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate this. Chris Bunce, love STS. It's the best. Thank you. And Got Donuts. Thank you for this. If you haven't read it, the book has got the same title as the podcast, Surviving the Survivor. And it is my mother's Holocaust story, about 20% her story of being saved by a Catholic nun, and 80% life advice as she yells at me, which she's currently doing. All right, so we're gonna be back in exactly less than 56 minutes. We'll be back. Donna Adelson's got a hearing today. I believe today's hearing is about a possible venue change. I'm getting them confused, and thank you very much. I was up bright and early this morning doing Court TV with Julie Grant, talking Donna Adelson. So we'll be back at 2:15 in a little less than an hour to bring you that hearing live, and we'll see you then. Love you, America, and justice for the victims, the girlfriends, anyone who is associated with Sean Diddy Combs that got dragged into this mess. Michael Jordan, Shaq, and Kobe Bryant, may you rest in peace and never know that Sean Diddy Combs was using your names as he was having threesomes. All right. See you later.